Harmony, beauty, and justice are the things that anyone can bring up to the world. However, some of us are able to make big, valuable changes, and those people don't need tons of dollars, solid connections, or corruption. You are going to see the inventions which are quite simple at first sight, and some of us can even find them useless. But who knows, maybe one day they will significantly change our lives, considering the fact that they already help billions of people. Let's get started. Ice stupa against drought. Ice towers help Himalayan people adapt to climate change. They are created by the Indian engineer Sonam Wangchuk. He set a siphon pipeline from the mountain river to one of the villages. Streaming under pressure from a vertical pipe like a geyser, water freezes and forms a 20-meter high ice tower, resembling a Buddhist sanctuary, a stupa. Springtime, this stupa melts, irrigating dry soil. The engineer has set the pipelines for 50 towers more because his system can be easily scaled. An iron fish against anemia. A Cambodian company invented a fish able to struggle with iron deficiency, which is caused by nutrition issues. It would seem it is a useless invention. The fish are made in Cambodia from scrap metal, which is being tested for quality. While welding, it releases iron, which then enters the organism. Basically, this iron deficiency is caused by a poor diet that does not include red meat and vegetables, especially in Cambodia, since more than half of the population has less than $2 per day. Maybe there is a need to invent some kind of fish, not iron, but with vitamin D for Russian people too. Because, according to the statement of the Federal Research Center of Nutrition, Biotechnology and Food Safety, 80% of Russians have an acute shortage of this important element. Now let's switch to digital technologies. Raspberry Pi is a computer for the poorest people. For many poor people, the main problem when buying a computer is its relatively high price. But with the advent of this computer for the poorest, this problem is no longer relevant. This very cheap computer was created by a British programmer, David Braben. The device represents by itself a small board the size of a bank card. You can connect external devices to it, including a network cable. Raspberry Pi has a processor with a clock frequency of 700 MHz and a permanent memory based on flashcards. This computer costs $25 and $35 depending on its modifications. Kilgore's Project, an electronic book instead of a paper textbook. Electronic books for students from poor countries are cheaper than $100 tablets. And the most important point is that all the textbooks in all the subjects for all the years of study can be stored in a little electronic device. And that it works perfectly even when there is an electricity deficiency around. Football, a home portable electro station in one ball. A group of students worked out the way how to produce electricity for someone's needs at home. The way is so simple that even children can use it. Students made a football which generates power while being played. 1 hour of playing football can provide you with light for one night. Moreover, you can charge mobile devices such as e-books, tablets, laptops using this power. Ergonomic water trunk. In the suburbs, people have to walk over many miles to get water. It is exhausting and takes too much time. But the problem can be solved by the water wheel. It contains 45 liters and it requires way less effort to push it. Also, it is pretty strong for even using on difficult terrain. Using it saves a lot of time and effort because of its simplicity and big size. It would seem that it is ultimately obvious and there is no need to talk about it. However, for how many thousands of poor people has it made their lives easier? Straw filters. This device is equipped with a special fiber filter and works on the principle of a cocktail straw with an integrating cleaning system, turning any dirty reservoir into a clean water source. This invention is very important for regions whose residents don't have access to clean water. You can also take it with you on a long hike where you don't always have access to potable water. Handmade solar pump. Today, 780 million people in the world lack clean drinking water, and most of them live in developing countries. Another device that helps solve the problem of a lack of clean drinking water is a handmade pump. This maintenance-free device, like other similar units, is easy to do yourself at any spot on the Earth. The pump works completely from solar energy. It can extract water from a depth of up to 90 meters, even working on cloudy days and at night, since it has a manual drive. Hexayurt shelter. Accessible accommodation is another global problem, and it is concentrated in the poor parts of the world. It has been solved by an engineer who worked out an innovative invention, Hexayurt shelter. It can be built from the easily accessible materials, and it costs less than a tent. It can be built up and taken down quite easily. It can also be packed to transport it. Growing shoes. Billions of low-income families either can't afford to buy shoes for their kids or they buy bad quality ones. But Growing Shoes' invention can help solve this, and needy communities now have long-term usage shoes. It is made of the simple materials. They're easy to clean and serve. They can be expanded up to 5 sizes, which means that these shoes grow and can be worn for up to 5 years. The salty water lumps. There are not many ways to spend time like reading a book after dusk in the poor or the countryside neighborhood because of the lack of electricity. But an engineer, Ingenious, worked out the lump based on salty seawater. The invention doesn't depend on batteries, doesn't need toxic substances such as kerosene, but it needs only 2 big spoons of salt in a glass of water. The lump can be lighting for 8 hours and can even charge other devices. Water sire. The device uses the conventional condensation method to obtain drinking water from the atmosphere. This invention is powered by energy from a simple wind turbine. It can provide up to 11 liters of water without involvement of external power sources, as well as operating for decades, providing people with clean drinking water. Sea trash can. This automated device collects waste floating on the surface of the water, garbage, oil, and combustible chemicals. It collects it all in a special bag of eco-friendly fiber. Here's how it works. Sea trash can is placed on the surface of the water. The pipeline extends from the pump to the shore. This is how water is going through the filter, and clean water is sent back. The invention is designed for use in port docks, private ponds, lakes, and waterways. Of course, this is not a complete solution because on a planet where money and profits are the main value, an incredible amount of garbage floats in the oceans. But we'll talk about that later. Turbulent hydro. The efficiency of solar batteries and wind turbines depends on the weather, and they don't work 24/7. But the Vortex hydro turbine from the Austrian company can be installed on most rivers and canals. It converts the power of a small river or a mountain low-water stream into electricity. A hose which brings water to a cylindrical well with a turbine installed in it is dug near the riverbed. The whole part of the artificial riverbed is concreted. Falling water in the turbine creates a vortex flow. It should be noted that the rotating blades of the turbine are safe for fish and other aquatic inhabitants. You can build the installation in 1 week. There are pretty much a lot of prototypes of a mini hydroelectric power station, which is made by the nugget inventors around the world. This is how human ingenuity can always find a solution for complicated tasks. The question is whether it will be able to fight its way through the parasitic direction system settled on our Earth. On the planet where somewhere 40% of produced food is thrown out, and somewhere else people are dying of hunger. We regularly tell you about secrets of the world's elite. But are those people sincerely interested in reducing the human population, or is it just a nonsense conspiracy theory? Let's call up the fact. In 1947, the founder of UNESCO cautiously said that it was necessary to stop the demographic growth, and he was miserably dismissed for crime intentions against humanism. Well, at the last UN conference, it was said openly that the population should be reduced. One more note was said about consumption reducing as well. But whose consumption needs to be reduced? Africans are already starving to death. Indians, where mortality is so high. What is the philosophy of the Worldwide Forum, world-famous organization? Is it a wildlife protection society? They say that the planet has to be protected from man. They frankly say that it is necessary to protect nature from man because the planet is overcrowded, and it is needed to decrease the anthropological affection. How many of you guys are ready to confess to yourselves and your children, unwanted and spare from the post-industrial point of view? It was during the industrial era that a large working class was needed to serve the production, and the middle class to support the economy. But the post-industrial era does not require this. Robots are involved, not man. We will be talking about it more precisely in our next episodes, so we highly recommend you to subscribe and read the comments. Thanks for your likes and dislikes, and see you soon on our channel.